have to understand there's seasons. There's seasons. And it isn't you're working over here, loving life, and your husband's over here, loving life, but that you can love life together. His success is your success, and your success is his success. Welcome back to Loving Fearlessly. And all of these sessions, I hope it's helping you in your marriage. We had so many people say, if I had an hour with you, I'd want to talk to you about marriage. So these are all focusing on how to love fearlessly in marriage. But the thing I love is it can prepare you for marriage, and these principles transfer to other areas. So here's another question I got. How do you manage marriage when you are in the wilderness and your spouse is loving life and ministry? Okay, first of all, my first response when I read this question, I'll be honest with you, is be like, hey, be glad you're not both in the wilderness. Because I know there was seasons when both John and I were in the wilderness. I remember he went out to pray, and we just had this season of just a wilderness in our finances, a wilderness in our marriage, a wilderness in our ministry, and we're just barely surviving. And John goes out to pray, and he was like, Lisa, I was out praying, and he said, yes, tell me there's going to be good news, because I'm feeling just as dry as he's feeling. I'm thinking, why did we quit? We should have stayed where we were at. And he said, God showed me like dead grass, like dead dirt. And then he showed me like short grass. And then he showed me tall grass. And he said that the tall grass represented what I would walk in one day. And then he said, this was the preparation season. And I was like, are we at the tall grass? And he's like, we're at the end of the dirt. We were not even in the middle section. And I just looked at him and said, is that supposed to encourage me? Is that supposed to make me feel better? So be happy that your husband and you are not both in the wilderness at the exact same time. Because I'm just going to tell you, girlfriend, it is not a fun season. So I want to ask you, though, why aren't you loving this life with him? Because when your husband's going through good things, that should also be part of what you're enjoying, too. I'm wondering, like, what's going on? Do you feel isolated from this? Do you feel like maybe you're home with kids and your husband's like fulfilling his purpose and call and you're being left out? Or maybe this person that wrote this isn't feeling that specifically, but maybe they feel like their spouse's success is not their success. You know, I love my mother-in-law. She raised all of these amazing kids. She never worked a day in her life. And I remember my husband saying something to her like, well, but Mom, you never worked. She said, don't you say that. She said, I never brought in money, but I saved money. I managed the money. So we have to understand there's seasons. There's seasons. And it isn't you're working over here, loving life, and your husband's over here, loving life, but that you can love life together. His success is your success, and your success is his success. And if you're comparing one another's seasons, see, sometimes you do have seasons in a season. You have a season that feels different while somebody else is having a season like this. But these are seasons that are good for us. These are seasons of strength. So I just want to challenge you on that. What we hear in the book of Ecclesiastes, and I'm going to read chapter 4, verses 9 through 10. It says, 2 are better than 1 because they have a good reward for their toil. So you're both working. For if they fall, one will lift up his fellow. But woe to him who is alone when he falls and has no one to help lift him up. Your husband is in a season to lift you up. His success isn't to push you down, it's to lift you up. So I think you just need to say, what's going on? Why do I feel isolated? Why do I feel like I'm outside of it? Are you blocking yourself? Are you not valuing what you're doing this season? Are you blaming somebody else? Are you blaming someone for leaving you out? I don't have the answer to that, but I want you to enjoy this season because I believe that God understands that everything in life is seasonal. That's what he always does. Another question, how do you help your husband understand you and your heart without creating frustration? Okay, this is something that is going to happen. You're going to have frustration. This is how you grow. A baby will never learn to walk if he does not become frustrated with the speed of progress with crawling. So if you're having a conversation with your husband, it's probably going to entail frustration, but allow that frustration to cause you to grow together. So I have found for John and I, some of the things that have been really helpful is instead of me, like he says something and it hurts me, and me just getting mad and slamming around the kitchen and giving him grumpy faces until finally he's like, are you upset about something? I'm like, how could you not know what I'm upset about? You know what I'm upset about. And he's like, I have no idea what you are upset about. Instead of taking it to an emotionally charged place and play a guessing game with my husband, maybe I just kind of step back, come into his office, and then again, applying those principles of believing the best and say, I don't think you meant to intentionally hurt me. But when you said this, this is how it felt to me. So that way you're not saying, you are always so mean to me. You are always hurting me. You can't do that. The guys will shut down on the always. They will shut down on the never, just like you do. Girls shut down on always and never because there's no win. There's no hope. There's no future. So having a conversation and understanding that conflict is actually part of growth. And so when you have a conversation with your husband, say, I'm going to try. Say, I may need your help on how I'm going to say this, but when you do this, I know you don't mean it this way, but this is how I'm hearing it. Am I hearing it right? And, oh, no, that's not how I meant it. Or if it is how I meant it, then you need to say, well, we need to talk about that. Let's have some conversation. And knowing your heart takes time. It takes time. It takes time. But I think sometimes the best way to actually reveal our heart to somebody is to be a safe person for their heart. So the more you let your husband have safety with the things he tells you, the more he's going to be understanding about the things that you tell him. So this is a two-way street. Her husband's heart does safely trust in her. He gives you things, you're trustworthy, you don't tell your friends, you don't have an emotional reaction that takes everything hostage, you have a conversation about it. The more trustworthy you are with what he is saying, I believe in the best of you, he can hear you more when you say, that really hurt. I know you didn't mean that, but that really hurt. I have a magnificent daughter-in-law living with me. And just recently, Jessica had an opportunity to help John with something. John has been used to living with 4 sons. He can yell things, everybody get around. Nobody gets their feelings hurt. And Jessica came down and was like, I am more than happy to clear that out of the sink, but I would love it if you said it in a better tone. And John was like, absolutely, I can do that. See, so he wasn't saying, I don't like it when you talk to me like that, in a combative way. She was saying, I'm more than happy to work with you on this. I can hear you better when you say it like this. And I think sometimes that's what we can do with our husbands. What are the keys to longevity in marriage? I would return to the 5 things I stated earlier that you need to remember. You're going to love fearlessly. You're going to forgive quickly. You're going to laugh a lot. You're going to honor one another, and you're going to fight for. And then I would say there's one other one. Don't waste time mourning seasons that are past. Don't be upset. Remember 5 years ago when we didn't have a good marriage. Remember 10 years ago when you did this, or you said that, or I did this and I said that. Don't mourn what's behind. Plan. Again, you can dream. Dream late in your marriage too. My husband and I are in a new season. We are in a new season of an empty nest, is what it's called. Well, we're gonna have to dream again. We're gonna have to design again. We're gonna have to do it again. I don't like too much silence. So I thought, all right, I don't have to pour out myself to my sons the way I used to. They have beautiful brides that are pouring into their life. So what am I going to do? Well, I'm gonna dream that there's daughters that can learn from my horrible choices, who will make great choices in their marriage, that they will dream that they can have a marriage maybe they never saw in their parents, or maybe they realize that we're not really seeing in movies. They can dream to have a marriage, they can design it, and they can do it. That's what I want. I'm going to invite more people into my world in a different way. Different seasons look different, but when you waste time regretting, or when you waste time wishing things were different, you're just going to waste more time going forward, and you'll look back and say, I wish we would have made that decision a year ago, 2 years ago, or whatever. So you got to just go ahead and not mourn your past seasons. A lot of women, they got so good at being moms, and they, again, forgot that there's a new season with grandchildren, there's a new season with just their husband, there's a new season of young women looking towards them. And if you're a young woman, I'm going to keep telling you, you need to find an older woman, because she thinks that she doesn't have anything to give anymore, and you know that she has a lot to give. So I want you to lean into the wonder of your season and not regret. So take those 5 things, lean into the wonder, and having a sense of humor will always help you lean into the wonder, and forgetting what is behind and leaning into a straining for what is ahead. That is how we create a long-term marriage that we love.